No. What I'm betting, I don't know if you do it. I'm betting there's no need for a trial, if you know what I mean. I'm just saying.
Epsteined. And then the
I
big
didn't say
names are
that.
protected.
You said that.
The big names
You
will be
said that.
protected. Will that
You
shut it down? The big names will be protected.
Well, try going to trial without the main guy. It's a little tough. You see, Shaun, there's an expression from the black arts of poisoning years ago. It's called noose on a bun. And when you're in a situation like this, you're in there one day, and I can say you can have a taster and you can do all this stuff and it's fine. And then one day it's like through binary concoctions. One day you always and then there's nothing in tox screens, nothing, a potassium level may be elevated, but there's no, it's been done forever. You see, what they need to do is, do you ever see The Godfather 2, Frankie Five Angels? Anyway, he's at this Air Force, he's at this special witness protection place. They need to take Diddy to like an Air Force base or some military installation that really isn't even a prison. And they need to have these special lights and detectors that can tell any kind of a detection or change in skin pallor or temperature. You know what I mean? And he has to wear paper clothes, paper that tears away. And that's what he's going to have to do. And they got to watch him every step of the way. And everything he eats, everything he touches, they got to keep an eye on him. Okay?
Which leads to the next viewer question, which is from Queenie. Does Diddy feel his life is in danger? And has he asked for extra security with 24/7 cameras watching him for his protection?
Well, he has 24/7, theoretically. Remember, he was on this particular type of watch. Honey, could you, I hate to do this. I am flush out. Pardon me, my beloved wife, I'm out of coffee. And when I don't have coffee, it's not pretty. By the way, I don't normally order her around, but me getting up and leaving in the middle of, I'm sorry, darling. Sorry. In any event, there was a time when he was on self-harm watch, and then he was taken off that. I remember last time this individual we were talking about, he was watched. This was probably the most important person ever in the history of, and you had two Keystone Cops bumbling guards who fell asleep and the camera was off. Did you ever see the story of the person he was with in the cell? Did you ever see that story? Remember that, Bruiser? Remember when he was
with him?
Huh?
I've corresponded with Nicholas
T. His last name beginning of T. You've corresponded. How's he doing?
I've sent him my book, Who Killed Epstein.
Well, he was in a heap of trouble at one point. I guess now he's,
he got off the death penalty. He didn't get the death penalty.
Isn't that something? Hey.
Quid pro quo.
I didn't say that. And he had a pretty good case, if I recall correctly. He was a retired or an ex-police officer, and he's in this cell. And I'm just, you see, here is the thing, too. Because you've got me, because I'm thinking about you, Shaun. I don't give a damn about me. I'm worried about you. So I don't want to say anything. But see, here's the deal. I want you to remember something. The more obvious it looks, the easier it is to get away with it. Have you ever walked into a store and all of a sudden, like you pick something up and you like walk out with it and you say, "Oh my God, I didn't pay for this," because you look so cool. You weren't, doing this. You just walked out. If you're going to commit a crime, let's say you're going to go next door, bother a neighbor, rough somebody up. Do me a favor. I want you to dress up like a big bunny rabbit. I want you to have a felt or a cloth carrot with batteries or lead weights, big floppy ears, and knock on the door, and you say, "Oh, Shaun," beat the hell out of him, and go home, take it off, get rid of it. The police come, the constables, and they say, "Were you next door?" "I was not." "What did the man look like?" "Well, he had on a bunny wrap." "Mm-hmm. What else?" And a big a big carrot filled with, okay. You're going to believe him? No, but that's what happened. So sometimes, thank you, dear. So when people do things that are so obvious, like you put this guy in a cell with him, yeah. But nah, what? It's too obvious. That's the point. Good. This is the guy also who I remember this was the biggest name. So the more preposterous it seems, the more people will agree with it. It's the weirdest thing in the world. The more obvious it is, we lose all of our sense of incredulity. I mean, let me explain something to you. Years ago, there was and you can look this up. There was a document. It was put out by the CIA. And it was put out right after the Kennedy, I think it was 1967, when nobody believed the Warren Commission. Nobody. And don't forget, the Zapruder film never made it until like 1975. It was on the Geraldo Rivera show. Nobody saw the Zapruder film. But they weren't believing the Warren Commission, even just. So there was a purported, but it seems to be a memorandum that went out. And it said, here's the way, and it weaponized the term conspiracy theory. It was the foundation of this as a pejorative. And what it said was, one of the things you do is you always tell some people, you have to make it sound like you needed a lot of people behind this to pull it off. Do you know how many people it would take if this Joe Rogan's right about, not landing on the moon? Do you know how many people you'd have to have covering up to pull something off like that? It's impossible. Really? And that's what you make. You make it sound like this is the most, even though it's compartmentalization. And during Project Enigma, Bletchley Park, you know how many people knew about that? 3, 4. Some of these older women they took it to their grave. There were 120 or so thousand people, 100,000 people who were involved in the actual Los Alamos and the Manhattan Project, but they didn't know what they were doing. They were compartmentalized. So they always, people have this idea that to pull something off, you need, and remember what I said, the more far-fetched it seems, the easier it is for people to believe it, because there's no way they wouldn't put this guy in a cell with this. That's the first place I look.
All right, we've got almost 4,000 watching. Support Lionel. His channel link is in the description. His Twitter is there. We've got 20 minutes left until the next show. Get your final questions in. The next question is from Andy, who wants to know if you think j.lo is in trouble, and in particular, the 1999 club shooting where she supposedly smuggled the gun in for.
Well, I think that's going to be brought up again. I think that's not exactly very timely. I think she's okay. She's going to say, look, it's a long time ago. I think the problem she's going to worry about is this Ben Affleck character, whatever, and her disastrous career. Do you ever wonder, when do these people say, all right, that's enough? That's enough. It's over. It's time for me to go, to leave. No, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Only because it was too long ago. And it's top of mind awareness. Nobody's, let me explain something to you. Let me give you an example of something. And Shaun, maybe you figure this out.
I've frozen, but keep talking. I've got to change my battery.
I like that. I like that look. Let me just look at his face. By the way, see this man? This is the man totally unaffected. He takes on this ability to freeze. Whenever he's overly excited, he freezes. You know what the scapegoat was? Then he goes black. He disappears. He's Lamont Cranston. It's most incredible. He freezes, and next thing you know, he's gone. Like he was never here. He just disappears. It's called disevanescence. It's most like shape-shifting. You know what the scapegoat was? Remember the story about the scapegoat? This goat, there's a particular type of goat that whenever it's afraid, it freezes. And the wolf would come and it would go like that. and it wasn't worth very much. And the wolf would go after that goat, and the other goats would get away. That was the escape goat. That's you just now. Let me go back to something. There's something called the black socks doctrine. Let me explain this to you. We had a guy one time here in New York, in the Upper East Side. He was a dentist, and the story is that when he would put women under sedation, they would wake up, and he'd be standing there nude doing things, but he had a pair of black socks on. And whenever the story came out, I was on the air reading this, and people would say, black socks. And I said, did you hear? Did you hear what he did? Eliot Spitzer, who was the governor of New York, had involvement with these alleged prostitutes. One of them said he frequented her and wore black knee socks. And people said, black socks. I said, there we go again. What's with this black socks? Sometimes people will react to something. And finally, here in our country, we have a debate, or excuse me, a contest in which I pray to God that President Trump, it wins, because if he doesn't, I don't know what I'm going to do. There was a story recently of Springfield, Ohio, overrun by Haitians, and people were going before the city fathers or county fathers to say, now I know this may sound weird to you, but there's a bunch of damn Haitians that are eating my cats and dogs, and you're going after geese, and they're eating pets. And I'm tired of this, and they can't drive, and they're running into people, and they're eating my damn pets and my cats. Now you got to stop this crap right now. Next one gets up. That's true what that guy said. These Haitians went after them. They got them dogs, and they was eating them like you would eat, like celery. And there's blood in there. And I swear to God, my little Fifi, you've got a picture of her right here. She was 12 years old, Pekingese, and they can't drive. They're crazy. They're crazy, and they're into voodoo. And okay, this was a story. Okay, you got that? It was the best story ever. Now, I believed every word of them.